Hello, you amazing people. Welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be doing another storytime compilation, but this is going to be anti-MLM stories. So I hope that they're juicy. I haven't really read any of them yet, so let's dive right into it. Once again, these ones are more of just like a story time that you can listen to in the background. It's just going to be some chill vibes, and if you like this layout, let me know. The other one that I posted yesterday was really well received, so if you have any feedback for me, I would love to hear it. If you like this kind of content, I would love for you to subscribe and set that little bell notification so that you know when I post. Other than that, let's dive right into it. My MLM story, posted by user ZHL22. So I'm in Barnes & Noble peacefully searching for a book within the business section. I can't find this book and ask an employee for help. He looks up the book, finds they have it in stock, and begins searching back in the business section. We both search together for a few minutes when a man intervenes and asks me what book I am looking for. I tell him the name and he responds with enthusiasm, complimenting the book. He begins to question if I'm attending school, and the whole conversation started questioning. He tells me he works for a well-known firm within the finance department, but also works with a group outside of the firm in asset development. It's important to note I am in my 20s, attending a university and studying finance. I figured this would be a good networking opportunity. I asked him what the name of the group was that he was working with outside of his 9-to-5 job, and he responds with, "Well, we aren't really a firm. More just a group of people dedicated to asset development and income maximization." I figured this was odd, but gave him the benefit of the doubt and thought maybe he didn't want to share too much information about that since he was with the other firm full time. He recommends we talk again in the future over lunch or coffee, and I have him enter his phone number into my phone. I texted him my first and last name and then left it at that. I could sense something was kind of off from our convo at BNN, but didn't sense any signs of an MLM quite yet. I figured I would text him again, maybe sometime in a week or two, and see what comes out of the potential meeting. To my surprise, he called the next day at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. This guy has a kid. He had it in BNN in a stroller, and is married. Why the hell would you call a 20-year-old late on a Sunday night? This was a second warning sign. I didn't see his call as I was with friends at the time, but noticed it about an hour later. It's roughly 8:30 to 9 at this point, and figured there was no sense in calling him back due to how late it was and since he has a newborn. He left a voicemail saying, "It was good meeting you the other day. I would love to meet sometime soon. Let me know if you're interested." I texted him something along the lines of, "Hey, got your message. I would still like to meet. Let me know your work schedule for this upcoming week." He responds like a minute later, asking when he could call me to schedule something. At this point, it's well past 9 and I'm really thrown off. I call him right after getting his text and we schedule a meeting for tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Not only that, right before I hung up, he mentions to me, "So I told you about the group I work with outside of XYZ company doing asset development, right?" I told him I remembered. He responds, "Is this something of interest to you?" I tell him I'd be interested in learning more. He tells me he will bring info packets for me about this group. As soon as he said that, I knew he was a schemer. But I scheduled the meeting like an idiot, unaware of this prior. I run this by a few people later that night, and they feel the same way I did. It was without a doubt a pyramid scheme. I had really two options. 1, cancel the meeting in hopes I never really talk to him again. Or 2, meet with him and tell him I'm not interested. I chose option 2, considering if I chose option 1, the guy would never leave me alone. We scheduled the meeting at a local breakfast place, keeping in mind it's 9:30 on a Monday when we met. What about his 9-to-5 job? Anyways, I start the meeting by asking him about his career path and how he got the firm he's at, disregarding the asset development scheme. Well, that only lasted for so long. He eventually jumps into that. I had just graduated school and networked my way into XYZ company, but I met this guy who changed my life. He asked me what kind of lifestyle I wanted, and I told him I wanted to work my own hours, I don't want to report to a boss, etc. As soon as he says that, I'm literally thinking to myself, doesn't this guy have a 9-to-5 that he doesn't choose his own hours and reports to a boss? I disregarded it. He continues on and then asks me what kind of lifestyle I wanted. I told him I want the same lifestyle every other average person wants. He tells me how this asset development group changed his life and his lifestyle. It could change yours too. So I begin questioning this asset development group. I will refer to the pyramid scheme guy as PS. Below is how our conversation basically went. Me: tell me more about this group. PS: well, I have some information I'll give you so you can look it over at home. This primary meeting was to get to know each other and see if we have any common points of reference in order for me to determine if we should partner or not. Me: we are here right now. Why don't we just look over the information you brought with you now? PS: I'd like to send it home with you to look over so you can spend as much time reviewing it. Me: can I just see the information now and ask you some additional questions? PS: well, it's not actually an information packet, it's a book. Me: okay, then talk to me about these assets you develop. PS: we can talk more about that in our next meeting. Me: can you just tell me what area of business and develop these assets are in? PS: well, it depends on what you're looking for. Me: give me one example of one asset you develop. PS: we have over 450 products, so it depends on what you need. We have healthcare, house cleaning, we have partnerships with XYZ company and ZYX company, blah, blah, blah. At this point, it was obvious it was a pyramid scheme. There was so much more hassle in trying to pry out what he really meant by asset development. But that is the summarized version for all of you. I quickly ended the convo, thanked him for his time, and exited. And the best part of all of it was the fact he never gave me the book to look over at home. Always be cautious of who you meet. Never thought pyramid schemers would look for victims at Barnes & Noble, but I learned quickly. Be safe out there, folks. I got dumped because I didn't join Mary Kay. Posted by user/DoomKitten. So let me preface this by saying I watch a lot of anti-MLM videos on YouTube. Q-Star, Fresh, Illuminati, etc. And had it not been for those videos, I might have been indoctrinated into the MLM cult. I started dating this guy right before Christmas 2018. Let's call him Mama's Boy, or MB for short. I should have seen the red flags popping up immediately, but unfortunately I am a hopeless romantic and almost overlooked a few key issues in our relationship. When we first started dating, he kept saying how he knew of a way for me to make easy money without needing to put in the hours at a desk job. I should mention that I have a couple disabilities that make working a normal job very difficult, so I was intrigued but still skeptical. He said his mom worked in that field and I should ask her about it. MB introduced me to his parents after 2 days of dating, and the first thing his mom said to me was, "Oh my God, your makeup is so nice, did you do it yourself?" I replied with, "Thank you, yes, I've been doing my own makeup since I was 13. Nothing too out of the ordinary getting a compliment, but it's what happened afterward that started the dumpster fire. I shit you not, this is how the following conversation went down. Her: "Oh, well, you should try out the makeup I sell instead. It's really good stuff, and I could even get you to sample some for free." The broke part of me jumps with excitement. Me: "Sure, I'm always down to get some free stuff. What's the brand?" I'm thinking maybe she's a Mac consultant or something, but no. She goes to her room and brings out a military crate full of Mary Kay products. Her: "This is the best makeup I've ever tried. Have you heard of it before?" Me: alarm bells ringing. Yeah, I've heard of it once or twice, but I'm not sure if I want to get too involved." She legit cuts me off mid-sentence and says, "I'm having this thing tonight and MB's sister will be there too. She does Mary Kay as well and she really wants to meet you. You should come." I didn't even know MB had a sister at this point. All we had talked about was the kind of music we listened to, but sure, why not? Let's meet the sister too. We get to this party and it's 6 older women, probably between their mid-50s to mid-70s, all dressed in white lab coats with Mary Kay embroidered on the front. And one other younger woman I later found out was MB's sister. I was quite literally the only person there who wasn't affiliated with Mary Kay, and each woman tried her damnedest to enlighten me on the perks and benefits of being an MK girl. "It'll make you look 10 years younger." I'm 23, not really about looking like a preteen again. It's not harmful to the skin in any way, which turned out to be false. It's cheaper than other brands, which is a blatant lie, etc. Then they get into the makeover portion of the night, which again, I had no idea any of this was going to happen. They start slathering this Mary Kay makeup all over my face, telling me how I look so beautiful and glowy and how Mary Kay could absolutely change my life. At this point, I thought they were still trying to just sell me their products, but oh boy was I wrong. After they finished caking my face with makeup, MB's sister pipes up. "So, when do you want to start working with us?" I immediately know where this is going and try my best to let her down gently. I don't really think Mary Kay is what I want to do with my life. I would rather do something with my college degree I went into debt to obtain. I wasn't having any of this MLM bullshit, and at this point, my face, which started to itch and burn, and my eyes were really watering from whatever was in the makeup they used on me. I just wanted to go home, but every time I tried to stand up and leave, a different woman pounced at the chance to get me on their downline. They even went so far as to give me a gift basket with product I could show my friends and family to interest them in the brand. I eventually had to say I didn't want to pander to the lowest common denominator because nothing else I was saying politely was working. Needless to say, MB's sister and mom were both pissed that I didn't want to be a part of Mary Kay, and they ended up making me pay them $20 for the products they used on me. MB and I dated for another week after that, and every time we hung out, he would ask if I had changed my mind about joining Mary Kay, and I would always say no. The final time I said no was over text with him the day before Christmas. He replied to me saying no by saying he didn't think it was working and he wanted someone that could make his mother happy. So that was that. The relationship ended. I didn't think much of it until I got a furious call from my own mother. asking why she got a call from a Mary Kay consultant asking to buy product. I guess at some point MB had taken my phone, grabbed the contacts for a few of my family members and even some friends I hadn't talked to in years, and had given them to his sister to try to expand her downline. Needless to say, I've told everyone on my contact list to block her number just in case. WFG horror story, or why I'm never trusting Craigslist again. Posted by user/KhakiCat. Early 2010s, when I was a young 20-something going through school, I decided to start tutoring to make some cash. I put up a post on Craigslist, even though I was nervous about putting myself out there that way. For a good reason, it turned out. A parent emailed me, did a quick phone interview, and we set up a time for me to tutor her homeschooled kids. The kids were nice. I especially got along with the older one, since we had a lot in common. Video games, we both loved cats, making music. After some time, she decided the younger one would do better in school with other kids, so I started working with just the older one. My student was great. Quick learner, asked good questions, motivated, showed each other lots of cool things, and we meshed pretty well. Mom, on the other hand, I can't remember the first conversation so well, but she asked me if I knew of the Transamerica building. She asked about my personal life and goals, said I could make a lot of money and be independent by teaching others how to be financially secure, and wanted to know if I was interested in learning more and possibly joining her business. At this point in my life, I had heard of pyramid schemes, but not MLMs. Is there much of a distinction though? I also don't recall her actually telling me the name of the business at that time. I found out later it was WFG. But she did make a point to say it's not a pyramid scheme. The way she framed it before that part made it sound good on paper, like an educational service almost, but by the end, something seemed off to me. Probably the fact that she had to say it's not a pyramid scheme. I was skeptical, but to be polite, I told her I'd think about it. Sometime later, she brought me into her home office again and told me she would pay the $100 initiation fee for me so I wouldn't have anything to lose. Just had to attend a meeting with her and other recruits. I had the time, so though still skeptical, I was like, okay, why not? Let's see what this is about. I remember going in a room with other new recruits, them asking us some basic math questions to demonstrate how much money we could make for ourselves and others. And after that initiation, we were expected to mingle with more established folks, which the mom sort of did for me. I'm pretty reserved when put in a room full of new people. The whole understanding of the business, though, still eluded me. Another time, she brought me and another tutor to a town about 40 to 50 miles away, but since we left during rush hour, it took us something like 2 hours to get there. This part was where one red flag went up. They kept talking about the product, selling the product, but I only gained a super nebulous idea of what these products were. Some kind of retirement fund, an investment that would gain interest, some shit like that. They were comparing them to IRAs, 401ks, etc. Again, I'm a young 20-something. I had never really had a stable job at this point. I was years away from even thinking about retirement, so I had no idea what they were talking about most of the time. I remember wondering, where does all this money go, and how does it make more money? In that same product spiel was where a lot more red flags shot up. The lady speaking went on a tangent about traditional marriages. How this was related to the product, I have no fucking clue. But yes, she started talking about how us women are weak baby caretakers and homemakers and need a man to be strong, protect us, take care of us, and bring home the bacon. I'm a whole ass gay person sitting in that room. I look around and most everyone but the other tutor that came with me looks like they're eating this shit up. I was floored. After that I was thinking, hell no, you brought me all the way up here, ate up 5+ hours of my time for me to listen to this bullshit? I could tell the other tutors saw through it all too. I remember them asking questions during the car ride home that made the mom uncomfortable. I can't remember whether this part was before or after Sexism 101 night class, but the mom brought me into the office once again and gave me the homework, which was thinking of 3 to 25 people who I know who might be interested in recruiting into the business and writing down their contact info on a list. Needless to say, the dog ate it. She also sat me down once and gave me tips on how to set up meetings with possible recruits, which was some of the shadiest red flags that went up throughout this whole thing. I think at one point she actually used the word manipulative. She instructed to set up a coffee date, but don't tell them it's about the business at all until you've sat down and had a friendly conversation with them. Get to know them and then tailor the talking points towards their goals and passions, and if they show resistance or doubt, keep pushing them, try to convince them. Don't let them leave without getting their contact info written down. Ugh. I had been through sexual assault by that point, so that lesson was totally gross to me and honestly a little re-traumatizing. Between that and internalized misogyny product lady, I was so done with it all, and yet she kept persisting after I told her I was no longer interested. I ended up ghosting her after she left me a message saying she still owes me $200 and would I like to come to an event to retrieve it. Even with as little as I was making at the time, I was totally okay eating that loss. Fuck that, I was done, lol. I do hope her kids are doing okay. I was a full-time hun for Isagenix for 3 years. My story. Posted by user McNasty's Garage. I started Isagenix to lose a few pounds and was immediately open to the business because my enrolling sponsor, a girl I met in a group for moms, was seemingly very successful with it. If you're curious, I know for a fact she makes over $150K per year, and her enrolling sponsor, who I worked very closely with, is a company millionaire making over $300K annually. I had never done an MLM before, but I had bought some products randomly over the years and had no solid opinion about MLM. My sponsor showed me training resources where I found dozens and dozens of videos and documents. I poured myself into learning all about the products because I really did feel a difference in energy and my waist lost a couple of inches. I started talking to friends and family about them, ignorantly excited to earn some money. I thought about it like referrals at first, and it wasn't very serious to me, but I got a taste of the money and really needed it at the time, and my sponsor and upline knew that. Looking back, they really latched on and pulled me along as I got deeper in it. I had recently moved and was lonely, so I loved the friendships and having something to occupy my time as a mom. A few months went by and I was paying my bills with Isagenix earnings and traveling across the country to attend events. I was fully committed and in a complete bubble. I felt like I had made great friends and we had so much fun together and really became convinced of the "you're with us or against us" mindset of MLMers. I convinced myself because everyone else in life outside of MLM was doing it wrong, because MLM was amazing. So how did it all end? The company and my upline especially preached so heavily about their values, and at first I was completely on board. But over time, and the deeper I got, the more people I met and info I became privileged to. I learned about so much deception and realized that's so not who I am or what I want to be a part of. Little personal things started to add up and bother me more and more. I let my sponsor know that I was in a traditional period in life and really trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was going to step away from my business. I had to focus and formulate plan B for myself. Because like I said, Isagenix was paying my bills at this point. Within a few weeks, I quit and turned off my account and now work for a locally owned company. As for my sponsor and upline that I thought were my best friends, we barely speak. My sponsor took over a week to reply to me when I reached out to talk to her about taking some time away. Yet, somehow we spent years talking all day every day. I was very hurt but have gotten over it. Financially, I realized I wasn't making very much. I cut back on so many things in order to stay afloat on my Isagenix income because I was convinced it would continue to grow and it'd be worth it. I did not go into any debt, thankfully, because I don't use credit cards and am financially anal. My upline continued to treat me to dinners or a plane ticket to attend events, constant talk of their income and lifestyle, and drill into my head that the only way to fail is to quit. They were the only encouraging people in my life at the time, honestly, and looking back I realized why I ate it all up. They told me all the time I was something special and they just knew how successful I'd be. I wasn't truly factoring into my income the cost of my job, my monthly required auto ship, the expectation to purchase anything new that comes out, traveling to events and all those expenses involved, the actual office supplies purchased, samples, promo materials, etc. Looking back, I realized things like there were trainings on language style and how to essentially manipulate people into saying yes or spending money on a larger package. And all of these things were done to me and I somehow became so eager to do it to other people. I am ashamed. Really, I won't ever be involved in something like this again. I also want to mention how disordered my relationship with food and my body is now. I became convinced that an extra 5 pounds was awful, or things like the fat on my arms on my size 2 body was awful. I picked myself apart as I posted before and after photos and spent my days reading and loving on my fellow boss babes' posts about their bodies. I spent way too much fucking time thinking about how my body looks. I hate it and have worked really hard the last few weeks on it because I don't want to hate my body. I had so many foods I'd basically become afraid to eat for fear of gaining weight. I'd preach so much about my health that I realized I had almost developed a paranoia of food. I realize this is entirely personal, but wanted to mention it because it's real and a struggle. One of my best friends was involved with LuLaRoe during my time with Isagenix. I warned her last summer to cut ties when I could see shit hitting the fan there, but she didn't quit until a few months ago. I saw so much insanity through her experience and can say that Isagenix was a much more professionally run company and more generous, at least. I'm horrified by what's happening with LuLaRoe lately and feel so bad for the retailers like my friend who have ended up so screwed. Alright everyone, that's it for today's video. A couple of points that I wanted to make. A lot of these MLMers will try to get you to read a book so that they have a reason to meet back up with you because you have to give their book back. Another thing is, if somebody has to clarify that something's not a pyramid scheme, it's most likely a pyramid scheme. I know I've said that before, but it's because it's true. I hope that you guys liked this video. I post every single day, so if you like content like this, I'd love for you to subscribe and let me know what you think about these videos. They're kind of more relaxing in my opinion, but you guys are the ones that are watching it, so I would really appreciate your input. I will see you all tomorrow. Bye!